Hey, it's a couple minutes early, so I'm just gonna hold off and let a couple people get on and get situated. And yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, we're gonna get started in a minute. Yeah, I'm really excited. Gonna do a little breath work. How about that? This is my sage bundle, which I really enjoy the smell of if I'm feeling stressed, or if I just feel like clearing the air or the energy. I was using a lot of Palo Santo, but that is becoming basically endangered, so don't buy Palo Santo. Do you like my new setup? I have a really, really fun project I'm working on, and this group inspired that, so thank you very much. Ooh, we lost an amber. This is gonna be, oh my God, this is gonna be a really good topic today. Very excited. Ooh, okay, just kidding, just having fun. All right, I can't see, I had to put my phone far away and I can't see anything. Let's see, I'm gonna get started in a minute. Who's here? Hi, Adrian, so excited. Yes, okay. I know a couple of you are gonna catch this later, so feel free to join in on this little bit of breath work before I get started, where I'm just going to breathe in deeply through my nostrils and out loudly through my mouth. Some of you are gonna notice this, you're gonna recognize this. Some of you are gonna be like, what is that? I don't know what that is, but basically there are a lot of different types of breath work, and we will focus on that in 2 weeks, I believe, but this is something that really helps me kind of clear my mind, clear my chest, and just help me settle. There are so many different ones I can't wait to go over with you guys, but this is just one of my favorites, so don't mind me, I'm just gonna do a little bit of breath work. Try that. You will feel so good. I think I did that 10 times. I don't know. Okay, we're going to talk tonight about autoimmune disease and chronic illness. And before we get started, I just want to tell you all that your meals are looking fabulous. Keep it up. Everything looks so satiating and so nutritiously dense. Proud of you guys, and I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're not feeling overwhelmed, and that you're just enjoying trying new things. Doesn't have to be every single meal. You're just doing something really good for yourself at least once a day, right? Like, we're really trying to just create new sustainable habits and positive change, and your meals are looking awesome. Also, our brunch lunch is going to be February 2nd at the Collective at True North, the yoga studio. It's just an incredible space. You guys are going to love it so much. I wish everyone could be there. I know some of you are out of state, and that is sad, but it's going to be February 2nd, and I will post the time as soon as I know what the time is, for sure. But it's probably going to be around 1:30 or 2. Yes, and everyone's going to bring a dish of their choice, their favorite plant-based dish. It's going to be great. If you guys want to create a list of what we're all bringing, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's just going to be really nice to do together. So let's get started. Yes, I'm really, really excited about this. Most of you know my story, but I'm just going to quickly recap because this topic right here is very, 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 very near and dear to my heart. This is why I do what I do. This is why True Desserts exists. This is basically what gets me going every day for work. This is how I hope to make a difference in the world, because it's not just autoimmune disease. I want you all to know that this conversation applies to everyone. It really, really does, because there really is no such thing as a perfectly healthy human being anymore unless you've got it all down. Like, you are nutritionally amazing. You are physically fit, endurance. You are so just in shape, like not skinny, right? But we're healthy, right? We're physically, nutritionally fit. We're emotionally like stable, spiritually stable, mentally stable. All of those things. We know who we are inside. And I'm not saying that, you guys don't have that connection with yourself or with a higher power. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that what I've learned on my journey so far is that it only gets better, it only gets deeper, and it only evolves. As long as you put the work in, as long as you evolve and you go deeper. And when I started with food, never, ever, ever did I think I would get to the space where I am right now with health and wellness. I really, truly thought in the very beginning it was all about exercise, just like everyone else. I thought I had to count my calories. I thought I had to have all the protein in the world. I thought I had to do these things because that's what someone else said, right? And then I thought, man, I went gluten-free and that took away 20 years of migraines. I'm healed. Perfect. Great. Fine. And then I realized, no, that's not the case. And, as I kept going, I kind of just really, for a good solid 2 years in the beginning, really just thought that food was the answer, right? I'm just going to check. Yay, I'm glad you love the space. Yay. Okay, I'm totally doing this because I can't see from far away and I want to make sure you guys can hear me in case anyone was saying, I can't hear you, but you can, so that's great. Okay, but then I went on, and this is after basically my illness started, and I'm sharing this with you guys because this plays a role for everyone, whether we're in touch with this or not. But my illness started when I was 5 years old. That's as far back as I can remember. It very well started before that because I understand more about the subconscious, and that plays a huge role. That's basically whether we're ill or not is our subconscious, and what we're born into, what kind of a lifestyle we're born into, what kind of family we're born into, if we're shown love, if we're not shown love. And I kind of was born into a broken family. Of course, it could have always been worse, but I was born into a family that wasn't very happy together. And by the time I was 5 years old, my parents were divorced, my father left, and when he left, he left. I didn't hear from him, I didn't know where he was, I didn't know if he was alive, if he was dead. And every year that passed, I said, okay, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, it's another year. And every single day, the only thing I cared about, the only thing I thought about was this person who left. And it was a death for me. It was a death that I was grieving on my own as a little child. And that basically controlled my health. That controlled my health mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And starting at age 5, pretty much right around when he left, all this stress as a young girl and not understanding what was going on, my chronic migraine started, and my chronic fibromyalgia started, and doctors didn't know what was wrong. They had no idea, and so I was just taking all this Motrin as a little girl. I remember being prescribed three times a day, and we don't know why fibromyalgia is there. We don't know, And then, not long after that, I started having tremors in my hands, which I still have now. Just this hand. I don't know if you can tell. It's just this hand. It's not as bad as it used to be. But then that led into severe gastrointestinal issues for a very long time, chronic IBS, chronic constipation, chronic bloating. I looked pregnant basically all the time. I was always the young girl that was 20, 30 pounds overweight because I ate my emotions. I would hide in a closet and eat food. I would run into the kitchen and say I was gonna, grab a napkin and shove 3 pieces of pizza in my mouth. No joke. Like, I ate so much food and so much bad food because that's how I released my stress and my sadness from my father leaving. And so as I got older and I started my period, I think 12 or 13 years old, it was severe from day one, like severe, severe, severe. I was not diagnosed with endometriosis until I was 24 or 25. No, until I was 25. 25, so like 13 years of, I was on narcotics for the pain. I would take 5 tramadol, five pain pills. I'd be prescribed 1 and I would take 5 and I would go to work. I would go to school. I'd go to church. I'd be totally high because it was the only way to get through my days because of the pain. At 18, I had blood clots. I had to have my upper rib bone removed. I was on blood thinners for 6 months. The list goes on. It's pretty crazy. And those are some of the deeper things, like I had a lot of tingling in my limbs. I had weak joints, weak bones. I had broken many bones throughout my life. It's just, I had hair loss. My skin was always yellow and pale. I would rash, I would hive, so many things. So many things. So this conversation for me is my driving force, because I found out that you don't have to live that way. And I found out that on top of that, you don't have to miss your favorite foods. You don't have to be deprived of something because you've been diagnosed with an allergy or a food intolerance. I found out that you can reverse all those things. You can reverse those diseases, you can reverse those symptoms, and you can reverse your food intolerances and your food allergies and your autoimmune disease. You can do that. You can do that if you have the right tools and if you have the right support and if you have the right mindset, because it's up to you to make it happen. And so my message to you guys and to everyone is that you're not broken. It's not your fault. We're born into situations that we can't help. And say you've been healthy most of your life and things are just starting to come up. This still applies to you, because this applies to our mental well-being. This applies to the things that we're exposed to on a daily basis, as far as environmental toxins and the foods we eat and the types of relationships we're in and around, whether we choose them or we don't choose them, work, family, spouses, children, friends, whatever it may be. A lot of times relationships can be very toxic and, we're stuck there. There are so many different things that play a role in your health, but ultimately, whether it started when you were in your mother's stomach, whether it started when you were a baby, a child, a teenager, or an adult, there's a reason why your body was weak enough to allow that illness in. And so we're gonna talk about a lot of these things today. This conversation could go on for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and I don't have all the answers. I have the things that stuck with me in my heart and in my mind, and the things that made a difference in my life. And so those are the things I want to share with you. And then I'm going to give you resources, because ultimately when you leave this group, this is all up to you no matter what you do with it, okay? So all those things that I was living with, look at me. I'm great. No migraine, no fibromyalgia, no crazy cystic acne, I don't have endometriosis anymore. The blood clot thing, hey, it happened. I'm not perfect by any means. I actually have an assignment at the end of this for you guys to do that I did for myself, where I created a list of past ailments and present ailments, because the thing is, like I said, life happens, stress happens, work happens, family members pass away. There are a lot of different things that trigger stress in our lives, whether we feel it or don't, but our subconscious does. And our subconscious takes us back to what the body knows. It's kind of like, say you take aspirin for years. I'm a prime example. My migraines were so bad that I would literally have Excedrin migraine on my nightstand, and I'd wake up in the mornings and I would just take it as a preventative, because that's how often I got migraines. And they were so severe, I was in the hospital multiple times. So my body was used to taking aspirin and ibuprofen and acetaminophen, all those things, since I was 5 years old. And I grew up into that. So for 20 years, my body knew as soon as it felt pain, migraine, fibromyalgia, endometriosis, I was taking something, I was popping something. And that was my whole life. That was 20 years that I was doing that. So when it was time for me to stop doing that, when I made the decision that I was going to stop taking pain medication of all sorts, there are times where your body wants to fight back. Your body doesn't want to heal holistically. It takes a lot longer to heal holistically in the beginning, because your body doesn't know what you're doing. Your body's like, hey, where's that aspirin? It's releasing chemicals inside of you that's looking for the aspirin. It's literally looking for that. Like, it's like going to the places where the aspirin should be by that point. And so you have to train your body how to stop doing that. You have to train your body to heal naturally, to heal holistically, and that means you have to have patience. But I will tell you what a diet does for you. A diet helps that process speed up like crazy, because what you eat plays a huge, huge role into that. Okay? Oh, so much good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna have my tea real quick. Okay, so what is autoimmune disease? Please, if you guys feel free enough to share in the comments that you are living with something that might be nice for someone else to feel like they're not alone, because I know we have a group of people in here who are living with different things, and that's, we're ultimately here to get better. So please feel free to let us know what's going on, and if not, that's okay too. But so autoimmune disease, the definition behind it, what the doctor is going to say to you, is that your body is attacking itself. Wherever it's going on, your body is attacking that region. It's attacking itself. We don't know why, but that's what's happening. And so you're now classified in the autoimmune region. Like, that's it. It's going to be for the rest of your life. Your body's broken. It's your fault. And, we can't do anything for you, but we can give you this medication. So that's what autoimmune disease is. And holy moly, there used to be a list of autoimmune disease names that you could say like 10 different things, and now the stuff that's out there is insane. I have heard of so many different autoimmune illness names. It's just blowing my mind how many are out there nowadays, because they're just coming up with one left and right, and because they don't know what else to do anymore at this point. When you're told that you're going to live with something for the rest of your life because there's no cure, that simply means that the doctor is telling you they don't know what to do. They don't have a pill that can fix you, and they have no idea what to do. Surgery won't help. That's it. They don't know. They don't know. So they don't have a cure. That doesn't mean there isn't a cure. Chronic illness. So chronic illness is going to be basically anything other than autoimmune disease. Sure, it's cancer, heart disease, diabetes, type 1. Type 2 is considered type 1 is considered autoimmune, and type 2 is basically because you just eat a bunch of crap. Like, that's pretty much what it is. That is totally self-brought on. But that's still, your body's weak enough to allow that for certain reasons. But chronic illness is going to be like you're chronically feeling bad. That's it. You don't have to have a doctor tell you that you have a chronic illness to understand if you're part of that category. But basically, you chronically have migraines, you chronically have rashes, you chronically have sinus infections or environmental allergies to the point where you're taking Zyrtec or whatever every single day, or you're popping aspirin, whatever. Like, that's part of a chronic illness. But the part is, those are symptoms of chronic illnesses at the same time, so there's kind of levels. However you want to label it, it doesn't matter. There's something going on deeper in the immune system with your body. And so, okay, say you don't have cancer, you don't have heart disease, you don't have diabetes, you don't have autoimmune disease. What about colds? Do you get colds often? I guess I should have said the same thing with migraines. And do you catch the flu often? I know a lot of people with the flu right now, unfortunately. Are you coughing up yellow mucus often? You get sinus infections every February? Like, those are basically alerts shouting to you that there's something deeper. There's something way deeper. I mentioned candida the other day. Candida is a symptom. It's a symptom telling you you have something much, much deeper going on inside, because candida is actually fighting for you. And so when you have an overgrowth of something, it's like, hey, pay attention, right? So symptoms are basically turning right into chronic illness if they already aren't chronic illness that you're unaware of. That's basically what that is. Right. So what about when the doctor says it's just stress? What about that? I had this conversation yesterday with one of you, and I was so excited to talk about this more because when my very last doctor visit was 2013, I'll never forget it. That was, oh my gosh, it was over 6 years ago. I walked up into that doctor's office pissed, so mad. I was having chronic nausea, like bad nausea. I would eat a raspberry, I'd get nauseous or bloated. I had no idea what was going on. No one gave me answers. 20 years of all this. I was so sick of it. I was so fed up. And I just went in there and I was like, you can't tell me nothing's wrong. You can't tell me nothing's wrong. This is terrible. I know my body. Stop telling me nothing's wrong. So the doctor left and his intern came in, and his intern sat down with me and very calmly asked me, have you ever considered if this was anxiety? And I just remember pretty much flipping out on him, being mad and saying, like, how dare you? How dare you tell me that this is just anxiety? I know what I'm feeling. I'm feeling absolutely terrible. Like, diagnose me, give me something. But I just didn't understand at that time what that meant. Because when it comes down to it, our illness is stress. That's basically it. Now, there are going to be things that trigger it and things that play a role in it, which we're getting to next. But our illness is emotion trapped in our body from either, when I was a little girl and my dad left, or maybe before that when I was witnessing arguments between family members that I didn't know what that meant, and that stuck with me. That left an impression on me. Those were trapped emotions that I was never taught how to release. When that stuff is trapped inside of you, any type of trauma, it could be anything that you personally went through. It could be, say your family's fine, your friends are fine. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands of thoughts every single day in our mind. Sometimes it's very easy to feel like we're okay, and our mind wants to take us to other places. And that all affects our health. So when the doctor says maybe it's stress, maybe it's anxiety, you know what? It sure as hell is. But the problem is they don't know what to do with that. They have no idea what else to give you. They don't know what else to tell you because they can't find anything to diagnose you with. And so they're like, yeah, you're probably stressed out, but they have no solution. And you're going in there like, I can't eat anything. It's all making me sick. Tell me something. Why can't I tolerate this food? Or, why am I getting these migraines? Like, what am I supposed to do if I'm stressed? Like, the problem is there's no solution for you. And so we're going to talk about that. And I am also going to just come closer. Thank you everyone for sharing. Thank you so much. I want to talk about cancer a little bit, and I'm going to tell you all right now that a lot of the information I have to share with you is through experience. It's through reading countless books. It's through watching countless documentaries. It's through taking a nutrition certification. It's through working with clients, and it's through intuition. And I trust my intuition above anything else. And it's my hope that all of you can get to a point where you trust your intuition that much too, because trusting your intuition means you trust yourself. It means you trust your body. It means you trust that you're strong enough to withstand whatever is going to come its way. It means you trust that you can go to the social gathering and you're not going to get sick. It means not having fear. And fear controls you when you're sick. Fear makes you the victim. I get that firsthand. That was me. That's exactly the way I live my life. I didn't go out to eat for years once I was diagnosed. I wasn't diagnosed celiac because I refused to eat gluten for the colonoscopy, and I had already been off of it for months. I'm like, I'm not going to eat that. But I didn't need to know that, but I was scared. I was like terrified to go out anywhere and eat anything, to the point where I made myself sick. Mentally, I made myself physically sick because mentally I was so scared. And your intuition is going to save you from that. Once you become so in tune with your body and you understand what you're doing for yourself, full circle, then that's when things really start to change. And I wholeheartedly believe that the body is capable of healing itself. Absolutely. It's what we were built to do. It's what we were put here to do. We were put here to live out our purpose. And we're not meant to be sick. We're not meant to have these chronic illnesses and these autoimmune diseases and these incurable cancers and heart disease and all these things. We're not meant to do that. But man has created such disease and such toxicity in the world. And we're watching terrible news every day, and we're seeing what's happening in Australia and Brazil and all these things, and it's just pure heartache. That's all we're seeing, and it's all we're surrounded by. And so we need to learn to understand ourselves, surround ourselves with love. We need to understand how to give love, how to show love, how to be love, and that ultimately in itself is healing. And I hope that sounds okay to you guys, and that doesn't sound woo-woo as some people say. But having lived through it and continuing to live through it, I believe that the body is capable of healing itself. And I believe that if you believe that, then that's possible. Anything's possible. All right. Okay, food allergies and food intolerances. So what do we do about that? Because there was a time where I thought I would never be able to eat certain foods. I see family members who are diagnosed with celiac, and I worked with my cousin who had celiac for 15 years, and we worked together for a couple years while she worked with a holistic doctor out where she lived, and we completely reversed her celiac disease in August of 2017 after 15 years of having it. And I helped my grandma reverse mold in her lungs and breast cancer and thyroid disease. And that was through the power of food. And I reversed my own disease through the power of food. And what I understood after that was once you cleanse your body of these toxins, and once you cleanse your heart and your soul from the pain or whatever is in there, the trapped emotions, anything, you can eat things again. You can eat a piece of bread. You can have a sip of beer. You can have peanut butter. We don't have to have anaphylactic shock. We don't have to be allergic to night or have food intolerance to nightshades. We're not supposed to have food intolerances to nightshades. Garlic and onions and peppers and eggplant and tomatoes and all of these things that people aren't able to eat. It blows my mind because we're told not to eat these things. We're told to stay away from fruit. We're told to stay away from the foods that heal while not actually focusing on that root cause. When we can cleanse our body of all of these toxins that are in it, then we can eat these foods again. We can reverse these things again. I'm able to eat most foods. Now, do I choose to? No, because along the way and over the years, I learned what foods help me to thrive, what I feel best on. And processed foods, I don't feel good on. It's not the fact that it's wheat or soy or corn. I'm always going to choose non-GMO and organic if I do have anything, but it's the fact that anything processed is going to be acidic, right? It's going to be more acidic in our body, and acidity creates inflammation, and where there's inflammation, there's disease, and it's that simple. So we have to be choosy and really smart with how we decide to pick our foods, regardless of if we have a food intolerance or allergy or whatnot. But when we have a food intolerance or a food allergy, this is pretty much just another symptom. These are symptoms. These don't mean that we have to have these for the rest of our lives. Okay, so same thing with environmental allergies and animal allergies. Thank you. It's been a busy day of talking, so I'm thirsty. Environmental allergies. I had an allergy test done. That was the first thing I did. That's how I learned that I couldn't have wheat years ago. I had the back scratchy test thing done. And I learned that I was allergic to dust, I was allergic to mold, and I was allergic to basically anything green outside. And I was like, cool, I live in Michigan. Dust is everywhere, and I hope I'm not surrounded by mold. What do? I freaked out. I was like, do I rip up the carpet? What do I do? I went and I got an air purifier. I was like terrified. I didn't know what to do. But guess what? All those problems are gone. And if you're allergic to animals like cats and things, typically the only reason why is because your immune system is too weak to handle maybe whatever that they got into or whatever's in their hair, in their fur. But we should be strong enough to be able to stand up to environmental toxins, to food intolerances, to viruses. We shouldn't be scared to catch a cold from someone. When someone's like, oh no, don't come near me. Like, that shouldn't scare you. If you're taking care of yourself, if you're strong enough, then that you're not going to catch anyone's anything. You're not going to be allergic to the cat anymore. We're not going to have these food intolerances and these food allergies anymore. But it does really start with putting the right things in our body and loving ourselves a little bit harder every day. So let's get to the cause, because I know you guys are all really curious about what is the cause of all of this, right? I could yak all night. Yak. I don't want to yak. Yap. Yep. Yeah. Okay, anyway. What is the cause? I'm cold. So, I have some books here I want to share with you, because I'm going to tell you what I've learned about the cause, and that I do believe these things to be true due to the work that I've done with this information. But listen, I've been talking about medical medium. When I first learned who Anthony Williams was, I thought he was a joke. I didn't understand. I was like, where are his credentials? I don't get it. What school did he go to? I don't get it. I was very closed-minded at the time, and I needed to open up, and this was something that I had to make that choice of like, you know what? Try something new, and I'm so glad I did. But he has 5 books, and I have them all, and I've read them all. This is the first book. This blew my mind. This right here was like unlike any other book that I had read. It's a simple read. This is his first book, and this changed everything for me. Everything. Get this book and read it, okay? The next one I got is this book, which I've been talking about with you guys, Life-Changing Foods. This book is what will help you cleanse those toxins and get that autoimmune disease out of your body. This is basically an encyclopedia for food. It's absolutely incredible. Oh, look, I opened up the celery. So this book tells you how to use the foods, what they do for you. You get simple little recipes. It's amazing. Then he came out with this incredible book, Thyroid Healing. The truth behind Hashimoto's, Graves' insomnia, hypothyroidism, thyroid nodules, and Epstein-Barr. Get this. Then, liver rescue. This is crazy. I did the liver cleanse last year. It was a 9-day. Anyway, answers to eczema, psoriasis, diabetes, strep, acne, gout, bloating, gallstones, adrenal stress, fatigue, fatty liver, weight issues, SIBO, and autoimmune disease. I'm going to tell you most of his books are going to give you a lot of the same information, but each one that has come out has given more and added more value. And they all have just the most incredible information on food and herbs that's going to make your life so much easier, so much easier. And then he came out with a celery juice book. I have done the celery juice thing for 3 years now. Not every day, off and on. And I love it. I think it's amazing. It's not a joke at all. It's not a fad, and it will help you. Okay, so what's the cause? So basically, I'm going to stick to the fact that I totally believe that our emotional well-being, whether we think we're fine or it's an old emotion that's trapped in us, is going to be the root cause of any illness. Now, that's not what we're here for, right? We're here to learn about food and how food can heal us, because beyond that, what happens is our immune system becomes too weak. Our immune system becomes too weak because of all the things that we've talked about so far, because of our emotional well-being, our spiritual well-being, our mental well-being, physical well-being, being unhappy, being stressed, being sad, going through a stressful time in life, moving 5 times in a year like we did. Our immune system becomes weakened because of something. We can be exposed to something like mold, and that just even alone weakens it. But mold is actually a trigger. So basically, mold and stress are your number one triggers. We lived in a home a year and a half ago. We were renting for 1 month, and the roof fell in and there was mold, and I had a tough time the whole month we lived there. Like, mentally, I was not myself. I wasn't sleeping. Things were off. It was weird. And then we found mold, and it was like, holy crap. And instead of being terrified, I knew exactly what I had to do for myself. And that's the point you want to get to. You want to trust in yourself enough. So basically, we're looking at a few different things as the cause, aside from those things. And they are heavy metals and environmental toxins. To have cancer in the body, you have to have 2 things. I didn't say one of them yet, actually. You have to have heavy metals, and you have to have a virus called Epstein-Barr. That is how cancer basically happens. So heavy metals are everywhere. If you use aluminum foil, that's aluminum. If you eat out of cans that are aluminum, that's leached into your food. Heavy metals are in antibiotics, they're in steroids, they're in prescriptions, they're in fish. Fish is not good. I don't care where you get it from. The oceans are contaminated, and unfortunately, that goes into the fish. So heavy metals are pretty much everywhere. Not to mention in the environmental toxins, the factories, the things that we drive through, we breathe in. In the Industrial Revolution, basically, a lot of this started with all the chemicals that were released into the air that are to this day still in the air. So what happened during that time was that basically that virus, that Epstein-Barr virus, got into the bodies of the people. And then it passes on through the bloodstream. So when we hear that illness is genetic, it's not. It's not our genes. We can alter our genes very, very, very easily. We can alter our genes, no problem. That's diet, that's lifestyle. But what we can't change is our bloodline. And when our great-great-grandmother had some sort of cancer, well, when she has a baby, and then she has a baby, and she has a baby, this is all being passed through the bloodline if it's not taken care of from the get-go. And so we all have cancer cells. Right? So our diet, our lifestyle, environmental toxins, heavy metals, these are all things that are going to turn on the cancer cells. They're going to turn them on, and then how we live our life is going to play a really big role in if they keep growing. Some things are out of our control. Absolutely. I am not blaming anyone for anything. But it's what we are exposed to. It's what, this is where food plays a really big role. We'll get there. So, yes, heavy metals. Heavy metals are huge. They're pretty much in everything. They're pretty much in every single body in the world, literally. Like, it's very, very hard to cleanse from heavy metals fully. I shouldn't say hard. It's simple if you put the work in. We have the foods, we have the resources. We can cleanse from them. it is hard to get to the point of understanding that that's what's going on. Okay, so environmental toxins are going to be things like pesticides and herbicides. So don't have your house sprayed for bugs. Do not spray the lawn and your flowers with Roundup. Do not do that. Do not spray Lysol in your home. That actually makes bacteria grow. So the marketing on the can is a lie. That does not help the flu. That will actually make the flu worse. So it's things like that. It's things like getting your carpet clean, getting a new car, the car smell. So, but what's frustrating, it's fungicides on our clothes because of fast fashion. We can't afford and buy all these organic clothing. And the frustrating thing is that a lot of this is out of our control, right? We work really hard to keep our body in a healthy state, and then we're exposed to a lot of different things. And that is out of our control. And so this brings me to the reason why it's so important for you to eat well and to eat right and to eat clean and to eat sustainably is so your body can withstand it. Because what happens is your liver takes on all of these toxins. That's what our liver does for us. It takes in all the bad stuff. And if we keep feeding it terrible foods, it's going to get overburdened because it's already working so hard for us, from plastic chemicals in the plastic bottles we're drinking out of, or the plastic that our food comes in, and you know, all the environmental toxins you're breathing in, and your home care products and the body care products. Like, all these things make a really big difference. So it's what we can control that makes a difference in how our body reacts and the outcome of our health. So what can we control? We can control what goes on and in our bodies. And so that is why it's so important to pay attention and to put the work in and to create a lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's not about losing weight. It's not about this exercise or that, or the latest health trend. This is about being sustainable. Yeah, okay. Also, big pharma plays a really, really big role. And this is like when we were talking the other day about the health of the animals, how the animals are injected with antibiotics and steroids and all these things. These are things that our body, if we take those in, not only is like a piece of meat, the fat is so bad for the body that it's gonna overburden the liver right there. Like, the fat alone from that animal is bad. But you're getting what the animal ate, you're getting what has been injected into the animal, you're getting the illness of the animal, and so that's going to offset you and your health, and that's going to trigger a flare-up with your autoimmune disease, which, I gotta write this down right now. Detox versus flare-ups, just so you guys kind of have an understanding. This is controversial, but vaccines. I was vaccinated. And I know that was a huge part of why I was so sick my whole life. That made my immune system weak, and that allowed in stress to weaken me even more, and that allowed in all the stuff that happened. So I was living with Epstein-Barr virus, and I had no idea, and it got so out of control that I ended up with chronic migraines and blood clots and fibromyalgia and endometriosis and all the things because I had a virus in my body. So if you study medical medium, he's going to tell you you have an autoimmune disease because of heavy metals and viruses and pathogens in your body. That's what you're going to learn, okay? And that's true. I totally believe that. I do believe this because there's enough information to make sense, and there's enough information about food to cleanse, and there are hundreds of thousands of people who are living with this information who have reversed lupus and brain tumors and you name it. I'm telling you, it's incredible. Okay, so heavy metals, environmental toxins, big pharma, so prescriptions, antibiotics set our immune system back about 1.5 years every time you take one. It drops your immune system. And then mental health. So those are the reasons behind the illness. Those are all things that we can take care of. Isn't that a beautiful thing? That's a beautiful thing. So how does poor diet affect us? This is where food intolerances and food allergies come in, because
When we're exposed to all this to where it broke our body down so much, our body's too weak to handle certain foods. And the food combining, take a look at that food combining chart in your guide. The combination of certain foods are going to offset different things in the body. You know, foods, we're eating too much acidic, processed, inflammatory foods. Foods aren't digesting, they're rotting and putrefying inside of our intestines, like all these things. This is when food intolerances and food allergies show up. We have to cleanse all of that. And the best way to do that is through proper foods and herbs. And how does a good diet help? Right there. So plant-based foods, raw plant-based foods are going to be your best friend. And you can really enjoy it. We're gonna make banana ice cream, and I'm gonna show you how to really enjoy healthy ice cream. And you could eat this every day. It's amazing, and it's amazing for you because the micronutrients are what we need. The phytochemicals, those are the things that we need, that our body needs to thrive. We will talk all about fruit this week, and I can't wait to go there. I'm not gonna go there now because that's like another long conversation, but fruit is your best friend with anything that you're living with. It's going to help cleanse everything. Raw foods are going to take all the toxins in your brain, in your organs, everywhere, and it's going to pull it and it's going to take it out. And that's how we get those heavy metals out. That's how we get those toxins out. But to stay healthy, this is where we need to work on our mental health, on our emotional health, on our reactions. I know where I am in my progress by how I react to stressful situations. That's kind of how I gauge myself, especially if it's something that, something that has happened throughout my life, and I gauge it by how do I continue to react when these things happen. Am I still reacting the same way I used to, just real quick and angry and heartbroken and mad, or am I coming back with, compassion and responding in that manner? This is kind of how I know I'm evolving. And the things I do for myself, I meditate. That was really hard to get into. I was working on that for about 8 years. And I'll tell you, all you have to do is sit with yourself for 2 minutes a day. Just start there. Close your eyes, just breathe in and breathe out. And what that releases chemically in you is incredible. It's incredible. And so that's how good diet, bad diet, and mental health affect. How is that? Is that overwhelming? I hope that's not overwhelming. I know it's a lot. There's so much out there. There are so many resources out there. And I'm going to share some of the simplest, most effective recipes with you guys this week to show you how easy it can be. And, depending on the illness you're living with, it can take time. It can take longer than others can. I'm still on my journey 6 years in, and I'm going to share with you in a minute what that looks like. But I want to give you, detox versus flare-ups. Quickly, we discussed lemon water, by the way. We discussed detox symptoms earlier in the week. So the way you can kind of tell as you're going through, because you're going to have detox symptoms as you eat really well, as you're eating foods you don't normally eat that are better for you, or if you're eating, things in abundance like fruit and different foods. And that can come out in many different ways. That can be a rash, that can be itching, that can be a headache, that could be sinus infection, that can be bloating, it can come out in ways where you think you're sick. So you want to pay attention to the duration of those symptoms. If you're doing everything right and stuff is happening, your body's most likely releasing. But the difference with a flare-up is a flare-up, because I remember when I used to have flare-ups of the autoimmune disease, they're going to last a lot longer than detox symptoms. Detox symptoms come and go real quick, within 24 hours, within a few hours, just a couple hours sometimes. A flare-up is going to last days to weeks. So that's kind of how you know and how you can gauge. And again, journal. It's really good to journal. A resource for you guys, Google. I forgot to look this up, but I know for a fact you can get on Gaia, Gaia. Look up Gaia. It's like a Netflix or a Hulu, but it has all the stuff that we should be watching on it. all the good stuff, all the educational stuff. It's incredible. We purchased that and are going to get rid of, I don't know, one of our Hulu or Netflix instead. I've known of it for years and finally I don't know why, I just finally thought to get it, but it has the most amazing documentaries. And there's one on it called Emotion 2.0. Watch that. And if you don't have Gaia and you can't purchase it right now, just Google it and see if you can find it, because I watched it a couple years ago and I think it was on Netflix at the time. So look into that, but it's called Emotion 2.0. Watch that. Let me know what you think. And then this is something I want you guys to do. This is my list. So what I did, I was thinking a lot as we're going through this group and we're having all these discussions over these topics, and I'm reading this new book. It's very good. When the Body Says No. There's also a book out there called The Body Keeps the Score. But this is the mind-body connection. And it just really had me thinking this morning as I was taking some notes about this talk right now tonight, and thinking about all of you guys, and thinking about what it's like to just get started and knowing the journey ahead, and thinking of where I am now 5 years in and what it's going to continue to be like. I thought, it's been a really crazy year this past year. We moved 5 times. I launched my business. I reconnected with my father, who left when I was 5. There's just a lot that has happened, and my body has shown me that. It's been a lot. And so I made a list of all of the symptoms I've felt this past year, and I titled it Now, Present, and I wrote a list of all of the things all the ailments and diseases I grew up with, and I titled it Then. And then I made a list of everything I can remember as far back as 4 years old that occurred in my life to play a role. And I want you to do that after you watch Emotion 2.0. It's really helpful. It's really helpful in being honest with yourself and sitting with yourself and just kind of looking at different things, no matter how old you are. Like I said, I worked with my grandma, and my grandma's going to be 95 on Valentine's Day, and we've been working together since she was 92. And I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. You go back and you start from square one, and you just really look at your life. And what's so empowering is it's in your own hands. None of this was your fault, but we get to be responsible for the outcome. And I think that's brilliant, because the way I look at it is it's a blessing. This is such a blessing to live with this. It's hard, but we were given this. We were given this for a higher purpose. Never in my life did I imagine that I was going to be sitting here talking to you guys right now about this stuff, ever. When I was 19, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't want to live. I didn't know why I was here, because I was so sick all the time. I was the only one that was so sick all the time, and I was miserable, and I didn't get it. And then it hit me when I was 25 that it's my mission to heal and to share, because there are too many people out there going through the same thing. And so I believe that for the people who are here, this was given to us, and we can do so much beauty with this. This is in your hands. So feel empowered with that and do good with that. And that's it. It was a long one, I know. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you want to start with any book, get Medical Medium's first book in combination with Life-Changing Foods. Those 2 books should go together. You should have those right away. And you can also listen to podcasts. He has podcasts, and it's incredibly helpful. I would start, if I were you, I'd go back to 2016, find his older podcasts and start there, because you want to start with the simple explanations. Right now, he talks a lot about, there are good ones now, but there's a lot about celery juice. There's a lot about the liver. There's a lot that I think you'd be missing out if you didn't go back to start with some of the first ones. So just start with understanding food and the virus and pathogens and heavy metals, and really just starting there. It's a really good place. So that's it. I hope you all have a beautiful evening. Happy Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow with lighter topics and new recipes and week 2. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you all. Have a beautiful night. Bye.